What's up guys, that's Super Nick here and welcome back to the channel, or if you are new here, welcome to the channel and thank you for coming to watch this video, and I hope that you enjoyed this video and all of my content that I have posted so far. Now we are back with a discussion on episode 3 of WandaVision. Now, if you haven't gone and checked out my discussion videos on episodes 1 and 2 of WandaVision, I would definitely recommend going and checking those out now and then coming back to watch this one. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. So without further ado, I will issue the normal spoiler warning. And let's get into the video. So we're back with WandaVision episode 3. And we are back, not back, we are here in colour. Yes, that's right. C-O-L-O-R, colour. So we have seen a few splatterings of colour throughout the first 2 episodes. And at the end of episode 2, we saw that they had transitioned the whole show into colour. So now here in episode 3, we have our first full episode in colour, which is very exciting. So at the beginning of the episode, it starts out with a pretty cool intro, which I really loved, which is, I believe, an homage to the Brady Bunch show. And I think that was in the 70s, so I'm guessing that that's sort of the era that they're paying homage to in this particular episode. So the intro for this episode, after the recap, is sort of a bit of a montage of what life has been like since the last episode or the last decade, where they realized that Wanda was pregnant. So the montage is sort of their life, them going about life and preparing for the baby or babies that Wanda might be going to have. So that was a pretty cool intro, and the way it was stylized, and it sort of did a good job at setting up the episode and where we need to be at to watch it. So the episode begins with the doctor at the house with Wanda and Vision. And he's sort of just checking everything to see if it's alright. And the dialogue I felt between, especially Wanda and the Doctor and Vision as well, was a little bit awkward. I couldn't quite pick out why, but it just felt a little bit forced and uncomfortable in a sense. And the Doctor sort of made a weird analogy, which I've never heard before, where he compared like the different stages of pregnancy in terms of how far along the mum is and the baby is to fruit, which I was like, okay, that's a bit of a strange one. And then once he's done there at the house, Vision sort of ushers him out of the house, and we see that Herb is actually a neighbour of Wanda and Vision, as we see him next door over the fence, or over the brick wall, I think it is, sort of trimming one of his hedges, and it's a comedic moment where he accidentally is cutting with his chainsaw into the brick wall as well. So there's a bit of an interaction there initially, but very shortly, with Vision and Herb, and then Vision goes back inside to Wanda. And I guess something that I really liked about seeing this, seeing that Herb is a neighbour for them, is that it's starting to widen the view or the perspective that we have in terms of the space or spaces in which the show takes place. For example, a lot of the first episode was spent in the WandaVision residence in the house, and then the second episode we sort of go out to a few more locations, and we see their front yard and everything, and now we're sort of seeing their neighbors as well. So it's sort of widening a little bit more as we go. And with Wanda's news that she's going to be having a healthy baby, she's very, very happy at the fact that she's pregnant and she is going to be having a child. And seeing her, joy and real warmth and gladness in this news is, you really just feel that and feel that she's going through these positive emotions, which I think is really nice. So then Vision comes back into the house, as I said, and we see that Wanda's stages of pregnancy are rapidly progressing because obviously of her powers. They are going rather quickly, which causes a slight problem, I'd say. So this sort of starts a bit of a comedic montage, I guess. It's not really a montage in that it's quick, but it's sort of a series of events that shows Wanda's progressing stages of pregnancy. So initially when Vision notices that it has progressed a fair bit, he sort of makes a funny comment, picks up a papaya and sort of makes a joke about him being a papaya, indicating that, he's going to be a dad. And then we cut to them setting up the extra room as a baby room. And Vision's sort of just sitting down and reading through a book about pregnancy and sort of making comments about the different stages of pregnancy and all that. And meanwhile, Wanda is using her magic powers to set up a cot and a little, I forget what they're called, but they're like little overhanging chandeliers that you have over baby cots. And this one has butterflies, and just after she sets that up, she makes a comment that she has just felt a kick from the baby, and it gives her quite a fluttery feeling. And as soon as she says this, the butterflies on the chandelier thing come to life, and they flutter around the room. So I thought that was a really nice effect to sort of visualize how Wanda was feeling with the kick from her baby. So then we see Wanda in the kitchen and Vision at the table with like a baby doll and trying to change a nappy in record time, which I thought was quite comedic. And then straight after that, we see that Wanda is starting to have her contractions, and Vision has to refer to his pregnancy book, and he starts doing like breathing exercises with her for the contractions, which was quite funny with the dynamic between the two actors of Wanda and Vision. And they were both sort of like, he, hoo, hoo, he, hoo, hoo. And just sort of, within that, them both sort of practicing that and being there to support one another through it. And then as the contractions are happening, things in the house are starting to go a bit haywire, which is a cause of Wanda's powers. And the lights are flickering, the sink's filling up on its own, the washing machine is going, the mixing bowl is mixing, and then all of a sudden the power goes out, and so Vision goes to check on the other residents to see if their powers went out as well. So then, as a little bit of a comedic scene to show that the power has gone out elsewhere, we see Dottie at home with her partner, and she sort of comes out and all looking all nice, and she says to him, she's like, "Oh, do these earrings make me look fat?" And then the power goes out, and her partner is jokingly like, "Oh, thank God," as in, I guess, now he doesn't have to, now he can't see her, and so he doesn't have to comment on whether or not they make her look fat. So then Vision comes back into the house and sort of says, "Oh, yeah, the power went out elsewhere around the block with other people." And they sort of start to have a conversation between Wanda and Vision as to whether they think that their neighbors and other people in the town think that this is a fault of them, and if they're starting to figure out that something is off. And they sort of start to have a discussion, and Vision comes onto the couch with Wanda, and they sort of say, oh, you know, this has happened with Mrs. Hart, and then at the show, and this instant, and this instant. And then it sort of suddenly snaps back to Vision in his standing position before he was on the couch, after Vision has said, I think, that maybe something's wrong. And that was a very, very strange moment, because it's as if the conversation that they had about the things that could make people think that there was something going on was all in Wanda's head. So that was a bit of a trippy moment right there. So now Wanda's contractions are here for real this time, and this definitely stresses Vision out, and with this stress he starts to elevate and lift off the ground, so Wanda has to, you know, do the breathing herself and do it with Vision just to calm them both down. So then once they do the breathing exercises, it calms them both down. But then once this happens, the sprinklers come on in the house, and this is a bit of a metaphor for her water breaking. And as soon as this happens and they comment on that, we cut to the infomercial in the episode. And this one I didn't find personally quite as interesting or funny as the other one. The infomercial was for a Hydra soap, so there's obviously a reference in there again, as with the other infomercials which have had references or Easter eggs, and this one is for Hydra, but the product itself, I didn't really, you know, connect to the infomercial as much in this one. And straight after the infomercial, it comes back to Wanda's water breaking, but then all the sprinklers in the house stop, and she uses her powers to bring some wind in a very Titanic-like pose, and she dries off the room to get it all fine again. So now that things are getting very real and serious, Vision goes off and uses his powers to speed away and get the Doc, who has just gone off on holiday, and this leaves Wanda in the house alone. And suddenly she hears a strange animal noise somewhere in the house, but immediately afterwards the doorbell rings, so she gets like a coat to cover up her pregnancy and answers the doorbell, and lo and behold, enter Geraldine, who has come to the house looking for a bucket to borrow. So now Wanda's in the kitchen trying to look for the bucket for Geraldine, and with her powers, for some reason she keeps changing the coat that she has on, so it goes to like a raincoat and then a really furry coat. And then Geraldine finds the bucket and is about to leave when Wanda sees a live stork in the house, which I guess would have been the animal noise that we heard just before the doorbell rang. So Wanda tries to distract Geraldine by engaging her in conversation while she makes an attempt to get the stork to go away. And she's trying to do this and trying to make it disappear, all the meantime trying to distract Geraldine by talking to her and pretending that she is interested in what she's saying. And the stork is just not going away, and we see that Geraldine is wearing pants with little fish on them, and there's a moment where the stork sort of comes up and tries to bite Geraldine's pants because it's got the fish on them, but then something sort of distracts Geraldine, and she looks in the direction of where the stork is, and then the stork goes away off into the spare room where the painting is on the wall of the stork, and it sort of, we see that it's standing in the pose of the stork painted on the wall, because Geraldine goes into the spare room, and then at that moment she realizes that Wanda is pregnant. So now, after cutting to a scene of Vision arriving where the Doctor is and getting ready to bring him back, we come back to the house where Wanda is very close to giving birth, and everything in the house is going crazy again, but this time Geraldine's there, who's going to help her to deliver the baby. So everything's going absolutely crazy again. Paintings are spinning, the hoovers started, the lights are playing up again, doors are opening and closing, and suddenly Wanda in this process is very much having doubts about, having the strength and being able to give birth. And so there's a moment where Geraldine is sort of comforting her and encouraging her and telling her that, she's going to be able to do it, and telling her to push, and it sort of increases in intensity, and as soon as she gives birth, all the crazy stuff stops. And then we see Doc and Vision arrive back to see that the first baby has been delivered, and Geraldine and the Doctor go into the kitchen to allow Vision time with his wife Wanda to see the new baby, and Wanda asks Vision if he wants to change into his natural form as an android to see his new baby son. So just after Vision sees his first son, all of a sudden Wanda's about to give birth to a second child. So Vision helps to deliver the second child, and it is another baby boy. And Doc and Geraldine come back into the room, and we see Wanda and Vision both holding and cradling their two new baby boys. And Doc makes an interesting comment, and I wasn't quite sure how to read this or process it towards Geraldine, saying that he thinks that she would make a good nurse. And then Vision takes Doc outside to see him off, and Wanda and Geraldine are left alone in the house. Now, as soon as Vision has walked Doc back outside and he's left, we see him look over and notice Herb and Agnes both there talking about the power outage. And immediately you can sort of tell that something is a bit off, and Agnes and Herb are sort of talking about Geraldine and asking if she is in the house with Wanda. So initially you're sort of like, oh, what's up with that? Like, why are they wondering if Geraldine specifically is in the house with Wanda? And then we cut back briefly, I think, to Wanda and Geraldine in the house, and Geraldine sort of complimenting Wanda on her new babies. And then we go back to, actually, I think when we're in the house with Wanda and Geraldine, we see one of the twin baby boys giving Geraldine a very strange and suspicious look. So that is already like another alarm bell right there. And then it cuts back to the front yard with Vision, Herb and Agnes all speaking, and Herb and Agnes commenting on the fact that Geraldine arrived in the town alone, she had no husband and nowhere to stay, but they're very much avoiding, like, you can tell that they're trying to avoid going more into this topic and into why Geraldine's here, almost as if they sort of know why she's here. Now, back in the house with Wanda and Geraldine, she's putting the boys to sleep, and I assume she is singing them a Sokovian lullaby, because she is obviously from Sokovia. And Geraldine asks a question following Wanda mentioning that she had a twin, Pietro, and Geraldine asks very specifically, or mentions, that Ultron killed Pietro. Now, for those of you who have watched further back in the MCU, you would know that Quicksilver is killed in Age of Ultron, saving Hawkeye. So immediately in people's heads that may have clicked as to how and why Geraldine would know that Pietro was killed by Ultron. Like, how would she know that information? And she starts to have a very, like, serious, almost getting to the point of being mad look on her face, and she keeps repeating, like, can you repeat that? Can you repeat what you said? Like, how do you know that? And it sort of intensifies with her repetition of asking what Geraldine said, and going back to outside with Herb and Agnes, and them not sort of being open with Vision about, you know, some reason why Geraldine is there, why she came alone, why she's not living there. And then getting rather concerned, we see Vision come back into the house, and just before this, we see that Wanda had noticed on Geraldine's necklace that she was wearing that it was a little sword logo. So again, this has come up repetitively, so we definitely know that it's a through line in the story. And she questioned, you know, what's with that logo on your necklace? Who are you? And I think at one point Geraldine was sort of starting to say, oh, I don't know who I am, almost like she'd been put in some sort of trance state or something. And Wanda gets increasingly agitated and frustrated. And when Vision comes back into the house, we see that Geraldine is no longer there. And when Vision asks where she is, Wanda says in an almost like calm but very cold and calculated way, she's like, oh, she had to go, honey. So after Wanda saying that Geraldine had to leave, the screen starts to widen, so the aspect ratio changes, and we cut to a view of a sign that says welcome to Westview, and we see a road with like a couple of military style roadblock things in place, and then suddenly we see Geraldine come flying through what seems to be like a force field or a barrier that's surrounding an area or a township, and we see Geraldine fall through this barrier and fall on the grass, and then suddenly we see all these military vehicles, so like cars and helicopters and personnel, all come in and come towards Geraldine, who's just laying on the ground. And then it widens to show us a base, which I assume is a sword base, and I'm only guessing here. I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that it may be a sword base situated outside of this little township or area which is enclosed in this force field. And then the final shot sort of zooms out to show us these lights and force field surrounding this certain area, and then that ends the episode there on quite an exciting note. So at the end of that episode, it left me with quite a lot to speculate and think about and get excited for with episode 4, which will be coming out tomorrow from when I'm recording this. So I'm very excited to see that. But overall, my thoughts on this episode, I was surprised when I rewatched the episode because overall it was sort of just, as a whole, Wanda giving birth to her kids. But then rewatching it, I was really, surprised how in depth I could sort of look at the episode and everything that was going on in it. So I enjoyed it being in colour for the full episode for the first time, and I was really excited by everything that happened at the end. So Geraldine's necklace and her being thrown out of this force field at the end and leaving me to wonder, well, what the hell's going to happen in the next episode? Like, are we going to see what this base is? Who's there? I've got a couple of theories, and I already know a bit of a secret. Well, not really a secret, because it was kind of announced in the casting for WandaVision as to who Geraldine's character actually is, but I won't spoil it for anybody who doesn't know until it's, officially brought up in the show. But I'm really excited to see what comes next. So thank you everyone so much for watching this video. And before I end, please don't forget to, if you enjoyed this video, let me know what you thought of the latest episode and the show so far in the comments down below. And I always love interacting with you guys in the comments. And if you haven't seen my other 2 episode discussions for WandaVision, I will leave those in the description down below. But don't forget again to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, hit the notification bell so you know exactly when I upload a new video. And with that all said and done, I look forward very much to seeing you guys in the next video.